Howdy ho, and we are ready to start our every Wednesday PLO mayhem. I'm Kyyberi, this is PokerRayMania.com, and you're watching live stream. I'm just going to open up a few tables. We're going to play PLO25 today with our about $300 share fund. Let's see what we have. Not many regulars so far. Probably they are coming in as soon as I say this. Especially at Fridays, these PLO25 tables are just infested with wrecks. But not much today. So I'm going to put myself into many waiting lists. There's a lot of players from Greece. Pretty much one Greece player in every table. Oh, there's two. Have to go to there too. And from here I'm going to, now we have the first table open. So as always, when you're commenting about the hands, please say the table number. It's 1-2 on the top and 3-4 on the bottom. Because we have a 2-minute delay for security reasons. So when you comment about the hands, I know which table you were talking about. So I can find the hand in my replayer. So we can discuss the hand. But if you just say, why did you fold on table 2? It has happened like 5 minutes ago. I have no idea what hand you are talking about. Rolfem is asking, have I applied the star code for January? If you talk about the bonus, yes, I have. It was a nice bonus, but required shit more of VPPs, and I won't be able to have that much volume during the next month, so it was a no bonus for me. Did not help me at all. And Poker Tracker is running with, for some reason it creates, like I can show you here, when I start to import it creates duplicates, and I really don't know why. I have done everything I can to prevent it, but it just does it. But now the HUD starts working. Marcus is saying go Seahawks. Well, we can talk about NFL if there's someone who follows NFL. For those who don't appreciate American football, there's no reason. Actually, my shirt is AFC Lions, American football team Lions, which is the local powerhouse. Playing in Division 3. We have 3 tables open. Going to open 4th as soon as possible. On table 2 we can have free flop. And we get 2 pairs, but now we have full house, so just bet it out, see if we can get anything. I'm just going to pot the river. If he has queen or overpair, he's probably going to call me. And this Portuguese player is marked green, but we have only 2 hands on these tables, so I have marked him green probably in PLO10 or PLO50 or in Zoom. On table 1 we open from cutoff and we get 3 calls. Go micros. And this is a friend, VPIP 55. Tintan seems to be friend, VPIP 75. And now we flop top 2 but nothing more. Yes, we have a cut shot. But if someone raises us, we have to fold, and we have 4 outs to 4 house, 3 tens to make a second nut straight. So I'm going to check back here and see if we can get a free turn. And we do, and we flop the straight. So now I'm just going to pot it. Because if someone has a lower straight, they are going to call. Flush draws probably call here. And here on now I'm going to go with 6 table. On table 2 I'm c-betting that flop with an open-ender. But when this guy calls me, there's not much value. He's probably not folding the turn. And if he bets the river, I just have to fold. And we actually won the pot on table 1, which is strange. He had 10-7 open-ender. 2 pairs on the turn and open-ender. Wow. I'm going to mark him green. Just for that hand. Yeah, and he has overpair. Not folding on paired board. The problem, in my opinion, with calling with overpair is that it creates a lot of problems, because if I bet the turn, can he call again? If he calls a turn, can he call the river? And suddenly he makes a call down. So if he's not sure how to play the turn and river after flop call, that's not a good play. But if he knows how to play it, then yes, I think you can call. But when calling on the flop here, you have to think about turn and river. On table 1, this finish shorty now, 3 bets us, of course we call. See if we flop, we don't, so we think for a while, and then we check fold. On table 2 I'm opening queens, because we have this call happy player here and here. So we have a good value for the possible sets. Even queen high flush is probably good against these guys. And we find, oh, should have bet $2 instead of just half a pot, but it's fine. Basically we are trying to make them fold every crappy hand. If they have a king, they are not going to fold, but any ace high hands, some weak draws, pocket pairs that might hit the set if we give them a free card. And now he calls. We have the flush draw, so I'm going to check, and if he bets, I'm going to see what odds he gives to me. And he bets half a pot. And I really think that 6 is one of outs. Queen is probably my out that I kind of value bet. And diamonds are good outs for me. 9 is probably not. So I'm just going to fold. I have no information on him. Then we hit the aces on table 2. And let's see what happens. I'm just going to call, because if I 3-bet to 360, the pot would be $7 or $10 if this guy comes along. So we have SPR 2.5, which is really awkward to play out of position. So I'm just going to call and see what happens. Maybe he 3-bets wide. Not sure. Flop is pretty bad. We have the nut flush blocker, but it's no good. And here, the thing is that he's probably 3-betting any kind of hand here. So if I call, there's not much flops I can fold. And pocket 9s, ace queen 9-9. It's kind of weak, but I'm not too worried. If he wins, he's still going to have short stack that he's probably going to just give to me as soon as I get a good hand. So even if we are slightly behind his range, I'm just happy to take the flip. We get the shorty out. If he doubles, he's still going to give us action later. We have plenty of opportunities to win it back. Here I'm going to bet the river with the trips. Might look like a move. They might go with overpairs and that kind of stuff. But no action. They asked, have I talked about short stack? Yes, I have. The problem is that I can't remember if it was a Finnish PLO night or English. So those of you who were here last Wednesday, did I talk about short stacking or did I not? Can't remember. So please enlighten my memory. $1 would be probably enough on table 2. That was a misclick. But despite I made a mistake, it was okay because he folded. But anyway, we have pretty much the same folding equity with $1 bet, so there's no reason to bet 125. Here we flop top 2 on the try-ish board. I'm just going to put it. The advantage is that we block jacks and 4s, so it's kind of unlikely that anyone has a set here. Ace sucks in so many ways. If he has a jack in his hand, he probably has ace jack often, and if he doesn't have a jack, he's going to have 3-4 in his hand often. So that ace really hits his hand. And the only hand we can beat here is pocket kings, pocket queens, and he's not going to bet those, so I'm just going to fold. On table 2, we see with the flop pretty much as a bluff. And now the question is, can I make him fold any weak king? Pocket jacks, probably not. Yeah, oh, he had 2 pairs and a flush draw, 3 pairs and a flush draw, and he doesn't even bet the turn when I check to him. Well, that's a neat, or not a neat, just super passive. I'm going to make a note that doesn't bet but monsters. And of course, as soon as I see that he makes a bluff or thin bet, then I can adjust the note. But so far, when he doesn't bet the turn, his betting range is probably pretty tight. Yeah, maybe I'm going to mark some hands. Please help me. As soon as you find an interesting hand that you want to analyze later, then say it in the chat so I'm going to mark the hand. Here on table 4 we actually hit our cut shot on the turn, so I'm going to just bet big and hope that the diamond doesn't come. And now we have 2 5s in our hand, we are blocking. And probably the best way to get value here is that opponent shoves his missed flush draw. But I'm just going to bet big and hope he has a set, 2 pairs or that kind of stuff. And he doesn't. Table 3 is not good. 3 pairs. against the net. And he donks. Wow. We have 6 outs that we can continue on turn and river. So I'm just going to pass this one. 3 pairs on table 1, 2. Now we have the cut shot with it. When these guys don't bet, I'm just going to bet. And if they check raise me for pot, then I just fold. I'm too far behind of their check raise range. But they just fold and happy. Another misclick here on table 3. I accidentally min raise. Should have opened bigger. And here we have a cut shot and a pair. I'm going to check back here and see if the turn improves me. And it kind of does. If they both check, I'm going to bet here. And here we flop a wrap 13 outs. But there's a flush draw, so I'm going to check and see the river. On table 2 he calls, so we have the bottom 2 pairs, so I'm going to check back the river. And he has just a cut shot. Wow. On table 3 we definitely see bet our open-ender and pair. A lot of folding equity against overcards. Now everyone checks, so I'm going to bet here. Of course we have just an ace high. But no one probably has a really strong hand here. So we can semi-bluff. And on the river, I'm going to make a half a pot bet. Of course it completes the flush. And, well, yeah, he has 2 pairs and made a full house. But if he has some kind of draw or weak king, he's very capable of folding it. Oh yeah, I was supposed to leave table 3. And I have just an ace high, so I have to bet the river to win the pot. And it's unlucky that he hit his full house. Against any other 2 pairs, we would have had enough folding equity. But he's a friend. He's a friend. Oh, a lot of green players today. Wow. We have this guy here. And I'm going to wait in on each of his tables. Because he's a really good customer, VK44. Three pair hand on table 3, worth looking at later with poker choose. What was the hand? I can't find it. Oh yeah, I closed the table, sorry. Forgot it. So we are not going to find the hand. I don't think it's worth, because we have 3 pairs. And of course when he pots to us, he represents a straight. But when he donk bets and it's the first hand he's played in thin hand, so I assume that he's some kind of tightest player. When he donks for a pot, he probably has a hand. And if we don't hit the full house on the turn, there's not much we can do. If he checks and we bet, he's probably going to call at least one bet. So do we really want to double barrel someone we don't know? And Jambalaya is commenting about something. I have no idea what hand you are talking about. So I cannot say much. If you're talking about the hand that do we want to turn our hand into a bluff against unknown, I'm more likely to make moves on players that I have information on. Here he's a shorty, so I'm going to shove the turn. We have the 2 overpairs. So if he has 2 pairs, we are slightly behind. But he has just an flush draw and open ender. So we were 60% favorite. Run it twice and we won once. On number 1 we have a tightest player, so we are definitely going to open any 4 cards here. And now he 3-bets, we have a pair in our hand, so I'm just going to fold. On number 3 I'm going to call with this sort of weakness hand because we have calling station behind us, so we are probably going to create a nice multi-way pot. Now we can and we flop top pair. And we river 2 pairs, but they both check, so I'm going to value bet my top 2. And on the outside table we made a huge hero call on the river. And he raises us, wow. Min raise. Check min raise. That is so weird. We have 8 outs. We need 20. We almost have the odds, so it's close enough. And the problem is that if he has a straight, he's not going to fold it. I know it. And if he doesn't have a straight, we are probably beating him. And he had at the bottom straight. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Let's make a slight move against him. Of course, when he pots, he looks strong, but often people pot here. These sort of bad players, of course, he's Supernova, but yeah, he's bad. When he pots it, I don't think he has an ace, because if he had an ace, he wouldn't pot it. So it's a good spot to make move. Here, we open, he calls, limp calls. On the flop, he check calls. On the turn, he check calls, and suddenly on the river he shoves for half a pot, less than a pot he has behind. I'm going to show you this whole replay. So yeah, imps we raise, ding 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 ding. On the flop he check calls, on the turn he check calls, and then on the river when the king comes he shoves. And yeah, of course, he might have pocket jacks, he might have 4, 4-3, but I look at his heart and he's really aggressive. His river aggression is around 75%. Of course, it's only a few hands, but at least it's something. So he's aggressive on the rivers, and this just doesn't make sense. Because when he's shorty, I think if he had a 4, he would shove the turn often. And this was a pretty quick shove on the river. So he didn't have to think it at all. So it was too suspicious for me. I don't think he's ever going to make this with pocket aces. And if he doesn't have pocket aces, then he needs to have trips to make that play. So we make a hero call and he shows us open-ender with the flush draw. Here on table 4, we flop pair and flush draw, and he checks the turn. Not much value in betting, I think. He's not going to fold a lot. He probably has either a flush draw or 2 pairs or set. So I'm going to check, see if we hit the river. And we kind of do, so I think we can bet here. And if he check raises the river, he has the full house. For sure. So then we are just happy to fold. But if he has overpair, he's probably calling because we don't represent much. Our hand looks like a missed flush draw. If we had 2 pairs or set, we would have raised the flop. And we never have a straight with that line, so often the top of our value range is random trip 8s. And if we think that, why would we call the flop with trip 8s? The only hand is 8 with jack 9 or flush draw. So often if he has like kings with diamonds, he's probably going to call the river. So it's a good spot to make a value bet. But if you have any other options for the marked hands, please let us know, or let me know. That trip hands could have been another story if something else or something is changing the hand, like if we know more about our opponent or if we had a slightly better hand strength. I don't know if my internet connection is bad. Not sure. There has been some problems with the internet connection around my area. So if the quality is bad, just let me know. Here we both flop trips and I have the best hand on the way. $8. He raised me on the flop, so that's why we don't stack off. If I had an ace jack and a couple of overcards, I would have stacked off. Now, I don't think he should raise the flop. Well, maybe he should. Good flop to raise. I'm going to fold queens on table 1. On table 3, 3-bet. I don't want to call 3 bets out of position. So hard to make money. On the next hand versus the same guy, we flop the top set and he raises us on the flop. He's shorty, so we have the money and I'm going to show you it here. Bada boom, bada bing, and against 1-outer. Oh, he almost makes it. Scary turn and reverse. But yeah, woo, we won a pot. I'm going to mark him green, VPIP 77. A lot of green stuff going on today. Inside wrap on table 4. So we have 9 outs to the nuts. Basically, we can call almost whatever happens. Now the turn sucks. If he bets, he wins the pot. And he does, and I'm just going to fold. Open ender on table 2. But only 6 outs to the nuts. Out of position. Of course, yeah, 50 cents isn't much. It's over half of the pot. And we have only 6 outs that we can really continue on the turn. And we're out of position, so in my book, it's just a fold. And we flop the flush on table 1. Yes, we see bet half a pot as normal. And then we just see what he does. He calls. The calling range, especially for these green players, is like any draw, any pair, any 2 pairs, any set. So I'm going to value bet the turn. And if he calls and checks, I'm going to check back the river. Because we don't get value from 2 pairs on the river anymore. But we do get a lot of calls on the turn. And now it's just folded. Which is kind of strange. I'm going to call here with pocket kings double suited. Yeah, we have the ace blocker, so we might make a 3-bet, but it's really hard to get value after he calls it. And now we bet, because this might look like a float, not sure. If he has a weaker ace, he's definitely going to call. And pretty much the only hand we can value from is ace queen, ace 10. So I'm going to bet fold the river actually. If he raises me, he has ace jack for sure. But he does call, probably ace queen, I suppose. Wow! Whoa! Almost said, I told you, but he doesn't have the ace in his hand. Wow, this is a strange call. He plays 50 BBs with just the pocket queens. Really doesn't believe when I call flop bet turn bet river that I could have a hand, which is super strange. Wow. Wow. I'm amazed. He probably really thought that I'm bluffing with the draw. Now here we have double opening. No, we have 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's double cut shot. Wow. We have a double cut shot and a middle pair, hence 3-better, who 3-bets. A lot of aces, so yes, I think we can call here and see if we improve on the turn. And sometimes we kind of cheap river. He's too afraid to bet the turn. If he has pair aces, it's really hard for him to barrel here. But he bets big, so probably he has aces with diamonds. Or 4-5. We don't improve, so we don't have implied odds anymore. No reason to hang on. In the calling station on table 2, I'm going to value bet middle pair or cut shot. And here on table 4, I'm just going to donk with my flush. And he raises me really quickly. Wow. I have the second nut, so... either he has... wow, I don't know if he has the nut flush, because that was a really quick raise. And the bet sizing is so... I'm going to shove here. If he has a set, he's going to go broke with me. I'm definitely not folding, and I don't think he ever raises me with the smaller flush, so it's a set, or if it's a nut flush, then so be it. Now we'll see. Yeah, it is, okay. I don't know how many percent we had on the flop, but yeah, that was a strange hand. How much we had, I missed it. 3%! Woo! I'm pretty sure that we are running over EV today. Wow. We have so much going on. Was it here? Yeah, this is a strange hand too. We open from the button as a bluff. He calls. Flop goes check, check. On the turn we hit the flush. He bets. Well, I call. And on the river he bets again. I'm not sure why he bets the river. But he has just a straight. That was kind of strange bet, but yeah. On this hand, the thing is that I don't bet he thinks and fold and he insta raises, and it's not a pot size raise. So either my computer is lagging behind and it seems like an insta raise when it isn't, but he raises me on the flop, and I based on my play on the timing tell. When it's such a quick raise, it really looks like a semi-bluff, like pocket aces instead of nines. That he's just raising me. Of course, it doesn't make sense, but that's what people do. So I think if he has a nut flush, he would think for a while how to get the maximum profit here. And now when he raises, the next question is that, am I going to fold at any point? No. Then the next question is, how do I get the maximum value against his non-nutty range? Because if he has the nut flush, then I'm going to go broke anyway. So it doesn't matter what I do. So if he has the set or Jack 10 high flush, how do I get the maximum value? And I think that I get the maximum value on the flop by playing it aggressively. When he raises me, he's probably not raise folding any Jack high flush. And he's not raise folding any set. So that's why I shoved. Unlucky he had the nut flush here, but runner full house for the win. But yeah, it happens 1 out of 30 times. This was one of those times. And if you're the opponent in that kind of hand where you have the nut flush and opponent has the second nut flush and money goes in and opponent makes run a full house, you shouldn't be upset, because if opponent stacks off on the flop there with the second nut flush, I don't think it's a big mistake. Especially when the opponent is regular, who is capable of making all kind of bluffs. So if the opponent is not making a mistake, then it doesn't really matter what the outcome of the hand is. Because someday it will go the other way around and it evens out. I'm going to barrel here on the turn. If he has a weak ace-king type of hand, he just has to fold in and we have to wrap. And on table 3 we have 2-pair hand, we missed the flop, so yeah, we fold. And here on table 1 he folds. If we just bet the flop and check on the turn, our hand is pretty face up, and now we have to hit the hand to win the pot. But when we bet the turn, we don't have to hit the hand. It's enough that he folds. Enough of his range. Here's a hand against the crease. Superfish calls the flop with top pair and cut shot. We value bet flop and turn. On the river it goes check check, and he has made 2 pairs. So went really well for us. I'm actually going to call here. Let's create a multi-way pot. Another all-in on the outside table here against shorty on the flop. What do we have? We have a wrap and oval pair. I'm going to call and let's see what happens on the turn. We make the nuts on the turn. I love to say that. Now this outside table, yeah, we open from the button, he calls on the flop. We bet he check raises and he's shorty, so we get it in and we are ahead. Yay. We bet on table 4, of course. This is kind of spot where, actually, if no one calls, it's what, there's 2 flush draws. Now, when the turn is a blank, it's really good for us. But other than that, over half of the deck is something that kills our hand. Here we can definitely bet again, and I'm going to bet slightly smaller in case he makes another hero call. He's the guy who called with pocket queens twice. So if he has here some kind of set or 2 pairs, he might make another mistake by calling us. Top pair and open ender on table 2. Nuts on the turn. I'm just going to bet big. And no action. No one has commented anything on the chat for a long time. I hope we are alive. If you can hear this, say yay. No answer. I'm trying to think that we had a few interesting hands there in the last 15 minutes, but I didn't mark any of those. And I'm trying to think that was there anything to analyze about. Not sure. At table 1 we have decent hand. Definitely going to see the flop. The hand has a lot of potential to hit the flop. But let's see how it goes. To mark that guy as a green one. We flop open ender. And here, oh dear, I'm just going to call. When I call, this shorty might shove, probably doesn't. And here this guy donks again. I'm going to call once, and if a heart comes, it's good for me. Think about, could I raise him? That's just... I'm going to give it to him. On table 4, I'm going to shove when the river pairs. Yuri says his Omaha is very, very interesting when he doesn't understand anything. Well, welcome to the club. No, Omaha is... It's not that different from Hold'em. The real difference is that the ranges are different. But the poker is still same. You have cards on your hand on the table, you have money on the table, then you have the odds, and you have equities, and so on. This rainbow would be at least suited to the one I would call. I'm going to call here. I have the button, so nothing really bad can happen often. Two pairs on table 2. Now I'm going to mark this hand. And remind me, let's see how often the opponents have the flush. As my first thought is I can bet here, but the board is paired, so they don't bet their flush. So we're going to see how often they have the flush here. I'm going to check here. And on table 2, there's a bet and mean raise. Super strong. I'm going to get away from my 2 pairs. And they shove. So there's 2 pairs. Wow. This is an overplay. Of course he was ahead, but still it's an overplay. Yeah, there's a lot of action in PLO. That's why so many people love it. I'm just going to phone my top pair on table 2 because I might have the best hand, but I'm out of position and there's not many turn cards that I can continue. Ace is good card, 10 is good card, but 6 is not that great. So I'm just going to fold, so I don't put myself in a really nasty turn spots. And here this raise is not good. If this guy would have called, I would have shoved myself. But now when he shoves, I'm just going to fold. He should have aces always when he isolates this guy. If he doesn't have aces, it's a bad play. Unless he has ace, king, king, but we have kings in our hand, so he shouldn't have those. And he has kings, aces, yeah. Well, he's drawing almost dead. Because we have 2 kings in our hand. This guy donks the river really smallish. That's strange. Sort of wants me to call or makes a bad bluff, and as he's a bad player, I'm thinking that, yeah, he might just make a bad bluff, so I'm just going to call here. And he has the small flush. But that bet sizing, he might have some bluffs in his range. Wouldn't be surprised. And now we're just waiting. Yeah, Omaha high-low is a lot more confusing. Even I'm sometimes confused and lost in high-low tournaments. There's even more going on. I'm going to bet here the turn. We have two pairs open-ender. And now how to get the value with the nuts. His river aggression is pretty low. So I'm just going to bet the river and hope he has a bluff catcher. And he does. And he has 8-5. Wow, second nuts. Yeah. So, yeah, in this hand, he doesn't make a mistake. He calls the flop, easy call, on the turn, easy call, on the river, easy call. Here, this guy 3-bets us, and we hit the middle pair and double cut shot. Actually, open-ender. Why doesn't he c-bet? Not sure. He might check raise us, but that would suck. And he just check folds after 3-betting. Wow, this guy is really strange. Kind of strange, his pre-flop stats are pretty reddish. Looks like a wild regular. But then he makes, in my opinion, he makes a really bad call down with pocket queens on ace-ace board. So he makes some loose call downs, and now after 3-bet, he just check folds the flop, which is kind of strange. On table 3, I have 3 aces. 3-betting would be the worst option. Not the first, but the worst. So I'm just going to call and see, hope he makes a 3-bet or something. But when the flop comes and we totally miss it, and it's not a good flop to make any moves or continue bluff catching, we just fold. On table 2 we have green player. This is probably a green, probably a green, probably a green. So let's stay there. And on the outside table we have 2 more green players, 3 more. Wow. It's like in summer in the middle of winter. So much green stuff. Amazing. And third one on the outside tables. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know if I have ever seen PLO25 as juicy as today. And on the outside table we open aces. This guy calls. And he checks the flop. I check behind, I don't want to be check raised. of course he's not going to check raise, but king queen, and he's going to call. But I'm going to check here for some deception. He's regular 49-23, sort of wild one. And on the turn he bets pot, I call. On the river he bought, so I fold the river. Don't think he's bluffing. And here, wow. Bets the flop with cut shot and hits it, and value bets the turn, which is a strange one. I'm going to mark him green for that hand. He's not going to make a lot of money in PLO. On table 4, 3 better. Oh yeah, I isolated him, sorry. Oh, there's the camera, good point. Yeah, that's what you get when you're not good in PLO. Yeah, I was isolating him, I really forget that, wow. Now, of course we see, but then he just folds. Wow. Sort of strange still. If I want to make excuses for all these misclicks and mislooks and what else, now I have 7 tables open. I'm commenting the hands and talking about stuff. Sometimes I get slightly distracted. So yes, I am going to make a lot of mistakes in the coachings. And it's good that you guys are awake and you can point it out. If I want to show you mistake-free playing, then I would record the sessions earlier and show you just the video. So yeah, every time when you see something funny, you can always say it out loud. And then sometimes it's just a pure mistake from my part. And I'm not trying to make excuses. If I make a mistake, I have no problems in admitting it. I know some coaches can say that they make mistakes, or if they make a bad way, then they are trying to make up some excuses. And I think that's wrong. If you make a mistake, you do make a mistake. Pocket kings on table 1. And on the outside table 2. And we can open. I don't really like to 3-bet pocket kings. But on the outside table, when the shorty 3-bets, I'm going to shove. If he has aces, he has. But he's such a shorty that, let's see. Oh, this time he has. Let's see if we can hit the queen or a spade. No. Boo. But yeah, I'm going to stack off with kings against this shorty. His 3-bet percentage was 8. Of course, it's smallish sample size, but might indicate slightly wider range. Table 4 has died. At least it seems so. I'm going to call the flop and see what happens on the turn. Can we check raise the turn? Kind of close. Of course, if he bets, he probably has the ace in his hand. I'm going to call with pocket jacks, because we have a third player coming along. And probably going to stack off on this flop. here he bets big on the turn, and we pretty much have just the flush draw, 7 outs and pocket and 2 kings. So I'm going to fold. And it kind of sucks, he has aces with the flush draw, so we are drawing really, really thin. And that's the worst kind of situation. But yeah, it happens sometimes. So yeah. But if he has like, of course when he pots, it looks strong, but he might pot fold with his bare aces. Or whatever he has. So we are not going to flop a lot harder without hitting a set, so I don't think we can just call. We still have to stack off on most turns. But now when he has even 1 jack in his hand and he has the overpair and the nut flush draw, it's really crushing our hand. But against any bare aces we would have had a lot of equity. Sometimes you just happen to hit the top of your opponent's range. On table 1 we flop just a flush draw bottom pair. It's a good spot to check back. See if we hit anything. And we don't, so the first one to bet wins the pot. On table 3 I'm going to see bet, and he folds, which is a great thing. And I'm trying to see what kind of tables we have on the outside, because table 3 is about to die. As soon as the shorty dies, there's not much going on. $3.75. If they go on the pot would be $10. We have SPR 3. It's too much to make the 3 bet, so I'm just going to call here on table 4. And this is good pot for us. He's probably going to make a C bet. We have good hand to call. We might even argue about raising, but oh, he checks, so he has an overpair. Probably we block the kings, we also have 1 ace, but when he checks the flop it really seems that either he has a really strong hand or he has a bluff catcher like aces, kings. And he calls. Now I'm kind of worried about this guy. I'm not too worried about this guy, but this... He bets 1. Well, I'm going to call down him. See what he has. And what the fuck? Now this is something that... Oh my god. He has nothing on the flop. He should c-bet and win the hand. But when someone bets I call, he calls with pocket sixes and picks up an open-ender and calls and makes the straight. Wow. He's a supernova, but he's super bad actually. Christ. I'm going to c-bet the flop. If someone has a straight, we are drawing to 4 outer at maximum. So if someone raises us, we are so far behind that we are happy to fold. But if we check, then we are probably going to get value only from the bluffs. And it's a 3-way pot, so... If we want to get value from cut shots and so on, the flop is the spot to do it. And I'm going to barrel on table 3. And he raises. He's real pain in the ass, but we have nothing, so we just have to fold. And he's pretty aggressive. I don't think he ever has a full house here on the turn. Probably turns his hand into a bluff, but we don't even have a bluff catcher. So just have to fold. And now we hit the 2 pairs and we can stack him off finally. Let's see if he has the flip. Yes, he has. We are 55, so we are slightly ahead of flip. But basically we are flipping overpair and a flush draw versus 2 pairs. Number 1 we have top pair, cut shot and a flush draw, so enough to call. And on the river we have the second nut flush. I'm going to check. If he has air, he has to bet it. If he doesn't have air, he's probably not calling if we bet unless he has a set. Which he had, so yeah. Against the sets we had to bet, but if he has a misdraw himself, he's going to fire the river. And now Netta Star is saying we are a lucky piece of shit. Well, if you sit in the PLO table with 40 BBs and you 3-bet a lot and play aggressively, you shouldn't be surprised when you lose a hand or you lose your stack. Do we have the VK44 on these tables? No, I'm going to show you here. We have 4,000 hands on him. And he's... How does this work? Yeah, his BB per 100 hand is minus 50 BBs. And his EV is minus 10 buy-ins in 4,000 hands. So... I don't know why he's playing this much. He's playing a lot of hands. And he's just constant loser. But maybe he's happy to pay for playing. Queen Jack, no we don't have the straight, so we're folding. Here Red 3-bets us. Great hand we call. We flop flush draw and an inside wrap. So yeah, we are just going to, when he bets we call. I don't think there's a lot reason to raise here and make him fold some weak aces. We just go now, we make the flush. If he checks, we bet. If he has aces with the clubs, then it's another half a pot. If he has a set of aces, this is really normal bet sizing for bad players. They don't know what to do, so they bet half a pot. So I'm not going to fold my second nuts here, so I'm just going to stack off, and yeah, he had the nut flush, so it's kind of unlucky. But yeah, it's nut versus second nut, so of course the money is going in. And it's the second time when we have the second nut flush and we run into nut flush. But nothing you can do about it. But I don't like his out of position 3-bet with this hand. This hand is not going to flop any strong hits that often. Of course, this is a good flop almost for him. But other than that, he's just going to flop problems. It's not coordinated hand at all. Even the Jack 7-8 has a double gap in the middle. So I wouldn't advise anyone to 3-bet those trash. That trash out of position. So after all, after the hot start, well, we actually won one bind with the 3% equity. I now have no idea if we are winning or losing, because we have lost like 3 all-ins. The last 3 all-ins. When we were drawing almost dead. So it might be that we are not that big winners anymore. I just can't remember if I have closed any tables with the big winnings. Here we have 2 buy-in winnings, one on the outside table. But it's always interesting in the end when we open the poker tracker to see if we made up any money or not. I'm going actually, I have my Dropbox open, which kills my internet connection. So if the quality has been bad, it should get better now. But this is a historical day. We have marked one hand. On the outside table, we lose $10 to this guy on table 3. Check raises us on the flop. First check raise from him. We call to see if we pick up a flush on the turn or any more equity, and we don't, so we just have to fold. On table 3, I'm going to try to bluff the pot, but it doesn't work out. They both call me. Then we just give up. 2 pairs. Of course, we c-bet it. And we pick up a cut shot and a flush draw, so I'm going to bet the turn. And he just folds. This is something that a lot of micro zoom players do. They call the flop with super wide range and then fold the turn with a lot of hands. Table 1, we totally missed the flop, so I'm going to make a c-bet and hope to win the pot. But he calls me, so now dunks the turn. I'm just going to give up. And on the outside tables we have lost a lot of small pots when people just raise us. And here Mummis from Sweden pots probably just have to fold. Interesting spot on table 3. Wow. On the outside table, I just have to fold, and now someone raises. If his range is just a straights, then we can think of something, but I think he can definitely raise here more. So I'm just going to shove my set. If he has a straight, then we have the 35% or 30%. Yeah, and he has the straight. Now we just have to suck out 32%. Because there's a flush draw, he might have ace-jack with diamonds. Now the hand on the outside table is... Well, I have to thank my opponent, he saved me money. He opens... We are 200 pips deep. I don't want to 3-bet. Not much good things happen. The opponent is 23-19 with decent post-flop aggression. Flop is really dry. I'm just going to... I'm going to bluff him on the river, and he has a monster. So here, I don't want to raise him on the flop. So I just call and see what happens on the turn he bets, and I really think that he has a lot of flush draws here. He shouldn't have 3-6. That often in my mind. So I make a small raise, $7 to win $7. Think he should fold. He thinks a long time. Oh, and on the outside table we have flush versus flush. and we lost $17. Bummer. Versus a fish. Here I think when he calls, he has a lot of flush draws in his range in my mind. So my plan was to bet here and just force him to fold if he has a weak made hand. But he thinks for a long time and donks 825, which is super strange. Because it looks to me that he has a straight and he's afraid to bet it on the turn. Because if he has a missed flush draw, this bet sizing, when I raise him on the turn and river is a total blank, these shouldn't have any folding equity other than versus pure bluffs. So this really looks like a value bet. He might have ace deuce, or it looks like he has three set. He has 6-7, and he wants to get maximum value out of me. So, yeah. It's just a strange bet sizing that I don't think it's ever a bluff, so I just folded. Super strange. And here he raises the flop, we have nothing, so we just fold. This guy donks a lot. We have overpair and a flush draw and an open ender. I'm just going to call. Because we have a showdown value, I don't think I want him to fold any air. We don't hit anything on the turn and river, so if he bets the river, we kind of have to fold. And he checks. He's probably going to show us two pairs pretty often here. And he has a cut shot on the flop. And runner straight on the river, so. But if we raise the flop, he's just going to fold. So here, if we raise the flop, he's just going to fold it. He had 7 blockers. He was moving with blocker bluff. So if we raise the flop, he's going to fold. Now we got him to bet the turn to put money on the pot. And I don't want to raise the turn because if he has something like 8 XXX, he often has the jack in his hand. So he has 2 pairs on the turn some of the time. But yeah, he donks, and I'm going to make a note. So now we know that he donks weak hands, which means that we can really start to raise him on the flops. I got the flop on the turn, we pick up the cut shot. Let's see what his bet sizing is. I'm going to check call on the river. He probably has ace in his hands if he checks. Yeah. But if he has an ace, he is not going to call my river bet. Unless I bet really, really small. But if he has air, I might get him to bluff. He thinks it's the only way to win the pot. Around 15 minutes left in the coaching, so if you have any topics you want to discuss about, now it's pretty much the last time. Here we have such a tight button that I'm opening from the cutoff with the same range I would open from the button. There was a feedback on the forums that Chip Leader wanted, he posted on the English forums that he wants to see some heads up sit and goes PLO at Fridays, when is our Finnish PLO evening, so I have no idea if he wants to see those only in Finnish evenings or Wednesday evenings. Of course, if you like, I can play head up sit and goes, but I haven't really played those other than just for fun, so I don't think I'm the perfect coach to teach about sit and goes. Because I'm going to play, or I have played mostly just turbos. So with the turbos, it's like waiting for a good hand and take the flip. Because you have one or two blind levels to play and then you just have to flip. We flopped the nuts on table 3 but can't really get any value. It's an limped board, so that's why I'm donking the flop. No one has the reason to bet. And if someone has a smaller straight, they are going to give it 3 streets of value. So we bet. Was supposed to bet half a pot, but it's a 3 BB, so we end up min betting the flop on the turn. I'm just going to pot it, and this guy folds. He didn't have anything. Table 1, we have kings, but there's ace on the board, so I'm just going to fold. What was the hand on table 1? Yes, I remember saying that, but I think it was here, or was it? The thing is that if I have a draw in hand, I'm going to wait and see the bet size and what kind of odds he gives to me, and then think that, okay, if he has a better hand, what odds he gives to me for calling. So often when I want to see bet sizing, another thing that I look in the bet sizing is, does it look like a bluff or value? And here I'm just going to fold. It's a paired flop, and we don't pick up anything but the king high flush draw. And it was his first 3-bet, so probably a lot of is heavy. Here we are 5-handed, so I'm just putting this double or triple capper. Yeah, we have talked about sit and goes with Arnimetsa a lot, but the problem is that in PLO, when the preflop equities run so close, it's kind of hard to use ICM modeling, because often, and he raises me here. Could be a bluff. We might make a rebluff, but yeah. It's kind of spot where he knows we have a lot of air in our range, so yeah, he can rebluff us. So if we want to step one step higher, we can rebluff him. Top set on table 2, top set on outside table. And I'm going to slow play it. Here, when this guy calls, he has the flush draw so often, and we have 6 and 3 in our hand, which gives us only 8 outs to 4 house. So when he puts it, we really don't have the odds for calling. Yes, we are going to stack him off, but 8 outs, it's not even enough. Have to fold. And on the outside table, oh man. This is why you don't slow play. It was a decent spot. Here is the hand. Board is kind of dry. We are only afraid of Jack 10 or 9. So I think in here, instead of check raising, when we are especially deep with one of the fishy players, I opted to call, and he calls, which is a great thing. And now turn is kind of blank. It opens a zillion draws, but it doesn't complete any. So if this guy has any king 9 type of hand or whatever, he is probably going to barrel the turn. And he is 81-63, super aggressive and shorty. So my plan was to check raise the turn, but they both check and river completes the flush, and he bets, he calls. So we get out of the way. He had a straight, but yeah, here he calls the flop with the cut shot and backdoor flush draws and makes one of those flushes. But if we check raise the flop, they would both fold and we get no extra value from them. So I think it was a decent spot to slow play for one street, but out of position, they didn't bet the turn, so we couldn't check raise. So didn't have anything. Here we have the top pair and open ender. So I'm going to raise. I'm really once worried about this guy if he wakes up with the set, because he's a pain in the ass too. Probably wakes up. No, he doesn't. I was sure that he wakes up with jacks. This guy's range is so wide that our semi-bluff is profitable against him. He's going to fold so much. If we call, it's obvious that we have the straight draw, so it's hard to get value even if we hit it. And especially against regulars, I like to be aggressive. That way I can get more value when I actually have the nuts. Here I 3-bet this regular 100 pp deep, and my 3-betting range is pretty wide, and we have premium aces. If he raises here, I'm going to fold, because then he has the king for sure. But the reason why I bet is that this turn is a great card for barreling even with air. So if he has queens with flush draw, he's probably going to call. And I would barrel here with air, so I have to barrel even with my made hands. If I check, he's probably going to check behind on the worst hands, and it's hard to get value on the river. Table 1, this opener c-bets only 38% so far. Of course only 8 hands, but there's a chance that he's going to check behind, so I bet the flop to prevent check back. And of course we have the nuts on the turn, so I'm going to bet the turn. And they just fold. 255. I'm just going to call. Let's play for set value. We don't hit the set, which isn't a surprise. Wow. I'm going to call 50 cents for sure. Even against 2 pairs we have enough equity. Now he pots. This is from the 2007. Like, min bet the flop to see if anyone has a straight, and then bomb the blank turn. But there's so many draws on the board that I just can't call. But wow, it still works. That's the oldest trick in the book. Information bet on the flop and then just bluff the turn. The two bad thing is that in PLO this board has so many draws that the folding equity is not that great. So if he has air and he bombs the turn, suddenly on the river he finds himself in a spot where he has only air, big pot, and no idea what the opponent has. So yeah, that's not a great plan. Wow, and he pots the turn. I'm going to call and let him shove the river. We have the full house. And if he has king 9 or 9-5, then it happens. And he has flush. That's why we don't raise the turn. Yeah, I said he's not going to make a lot of money in PLO. On the outside table, we open ace king 10, we hit the wrap, we bet on the turn, we pick up the flush draw. Now we don't want to shove, because ace high is never going to win the pot. So if the turn is river is a total blank, there's no way we can win the pot. So the right play here is to call, even if we have only $3 behind. Because if this is a 2 of spades, we can just fold. Now we hit it, we can put the rest in. Of course, it's not a big difference. Wow, he's low played on the flop. Got 55% on the turn. So we were flipping. It might seem that it's not a big difference. But when he shoves the turn, he cannot have a big draw. He wouldn't raise a big draw when we pot the turn, so he has a set pretty much always. 2 pairs is the worst hand, but even against that, we really need to hit our hand. So every time we miss the river, we can save $3.50, which is, how much is it? 14 BBs. Yes. Mathematics are so hard. Every time we miss the river, we save 14 BBs. He's never folding. Of course, now our EV line looks better, but if we fold, it looks worse. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that if we miss the river, we can fold. Pot is $60, we have $3 behind. It looks really weak, but we have ace high, which is never going to win the pot. So we can fold the river. And if we shove the turn, yeah, it's plus EV. It's not a huge mistake, but the EV for the hand is better with calling. Every time, if we just call the turn and fold the river, every time we miss the river, we save 14 BBs. So it's kind of, if it happens half of the time, it's going to be 7 BB mistake to shove the turn. So that's something to always think about. If you know your opponent hand strength, then you can make perfect decisions. And that's a common mistake that people do. They shove draws when they should have just called. Here we have isolate 3-bet. This guy, he cold calls. He's a shorty, dunks 16%. We have top 2 open-ender, and I'm just going to shove. If he has 7-8, we have decent equity. And he does, but we have 50%. And we win once, we win twice. So yeah, we run hard. But we had 48%, so it was a flip. And the straight is the top of his range. I think he has a lot of 2-pair, open pair, overpair and flush draws. He might even have the nut flush draw when he's shorty. So, despite of running into nut flushes a couple of times, we have been running super hot today. We started the session with runner, full house, 3% equity. And now we have won so many flips that I can't even remember. Here, I'm not going to see bet against 2 guys. One is call happy shorty, and one is regular. Probably going to make a lot of moves here, so I'm just happy to fold on this flop. Here, he 3-bets SPR1. If he has aces, we have enough equity to call. So yeah, we can stack off here. And he has kings. Not a big deal. Let's see. We don't hit the 2 pairs. We probably have 40%, 30% only. Oh yeah, he's blocking one of our outs. Another shove situation here. It's a 3-bet pot. We have top pair and a flush draw. Weak is kind of bet, so we have folding equity against this guy. So let's take the flip Now he has to decide if he wants to stack off. If he has bare aces, it's really hard to call. Of course, when he has $15, he shouldn't be in a situation where he has to think. If he c-bets half a pot, it's either with the pure bluff or to induce a shove. So when he bets a raise and then he starts to think, it tells me that his thinking process is not a really good one. It's almost 11. I think we are going to close the session. So now, if you want to make an estimation about our profit, now is the time. And he calls us on the turn, which kind of sucks. And ace completes everything else, so it's a check fold situation on the river. Probably he bets here, and we fold. Another option here is to actually check the turn. We are pretty much worried about ace on the river. But normally I would bet this turn with most of my range, even with the air. But he is 40 and 10, so we shouldn't be worried about being that balanced against this guy. I'm going to call here. I think he has a lot of ace-high hands, or ace-high, he has ace in his hand. But now when the king comes and he fires a third barrel, now the question is, would he bet ace-king here? Or would he bet his missed flush draw? He's really aggressive. Oh, he has the straight. This time he had a hand. I'm going to make a note of the bet sizing. On the outside table, against the shorty, we make the flush on the river, and he bets. He had a monster. No one has made any estimations about the profit today. Okay. I'm going to make a bold estimation that we are making profit today because we have run so high. Probably we might be actually negative on the EV line, but couple of buy-ins profit and EV is -1 buy-in maybe. Not sure. Probably we have sucked out on a couple of times. And he just boards the flop. I'm going to check here. Such a strange guy that he might actually bluff the turn. And I'm just check calling the river. That's so hard to accept. He calls the flop with pocket tens. And then hits 2-outer on the turn. Yeah, that's hard. Just owning us. idea was to check the turn, and let's see if he fires the river. I think he has a lot of flush draws in his range, but it's kind of unlucky that the flush hits on the river, and now I just have to fold. He has 3 buy-ins, but I don't know if it means profit or losses or something else. So cryptic. Let's see if we can get some interesting hand. Oh, and we have the one hand to go through. I'm going to start up my poker juice so we can see how often opponents have the flush. On the outside table we are with the bottom set stacking off against Jordy, and he has flush draw and some other stuff, and runner on a full house. He beats us. And I'm probably going to start the last orbits. When he calls the flop, he probably has a hand that is often going to call the turn. So do I want to barrel him 3 streets and hope the river pairs the board or is a heart? So I'm just going to give up on the turn. Bad card for me to barrel. And now the flush comes. And he bets and I fold. And here start the last orbits. On the outside table we are 200 pp's deep with the fish, 2 fishes. I'm going to 3-bet my aces, they are pretty good aces. And now just see what happens. We flop the nuts on the flop, which makes it a bit easier to play. And if he calls, he has the flush draw so often. And we have the cut shot too, and backdoor flush draw. A lot of good stuff going on. And he calls and we actually make the straight. I'm just going to bet big and make him pay if he has the flush draw. Here I made the call because the opponent is so aggressive that he has a lot more than just the flush draw in his range. And we were right here. And he had just a gut shot. Wow. I'm going to mark him as an aggressive one because that call on the flop is so kind of bad. And now he donks. But he calls. We have only 3 outs pretty much that we are happy about. So I'm just going to fold here. And in just a couple of seconds I'm going to show you the hand that I marked. And I'm going to show you how we can check out how often the opponents have the flush. But these are the last hands, so I'm going to put them in here. Here we have the replayer just to see the stats on our opponents. So this is Poker Juice. I copied the hand history to here. And now we are just going to give these opponents a pre-flop range. And this sin richest opens from middle position, and we can see that he's raising is around 30%, I think. So we are going to give him a 30% first in range. This is an average regular first in opening range, 30%. And then we have this Nashaman. His range is super wide, PPIP 46. Doesn't raise, he might even have aces. So his range is probably around 50%. Then there's us. We are not worried about us. We have big blind, VPIP 62. So his range is even wider. We are going to give him probably not 3-betting even aces, so his range is like 65%. So here on the turn, now we want to see that how often these guys have the flush. And we start with the sin rest and we give here, let's see, does this work? No, it gives a straight draw, so if we give them any hearts, Okay, then we do 3 hearts, hearts plus. Yes. No. Well, yeah, now it gives any flush or full house. So basically we want to see how often, if opponents fold everything but the flush or full house, we can use that as a starting point actually. So now we see that the sin richest guy who opened pre-flop, he has a flush or full house 30% of the time. And then when we move on to Nashaman, he has one of those, probably around same percentage. Yeah, 30%. And then we have this Yali guy who has the widest range. And around 30%. So each one of them has flush or full house 1 out of 3 times. So if we want to bet here, the odds for some of them waking up with the flush or full house, no one is folding a flush here, especially when the flop goes check, check, check. So pretty much 1 out of 3 times each of they have a hand. So the chance of one of them having a hand is actually a lot higher than what we need to be. Like if we bet half a pot here, we need to be right 1 out of 3 times. So if they all fold 60% of the time, or 30% of the time, it's going to be good. Actually, 30% of the time. And against 1 player, it's profitable. Against 2 players, it's profitable. But against 3 players, it goes close to 60%. 30, 30, and 30. How much does it take? It takes around 55 or something, if I'm right. So half a pot c-bet might be profitable here if they actually fold everything but the flush or full house, or we can even bet 150 here. But the problem is that if they call with any trips, if they call, we can put here 2+. So now it gives trips or better. It was 28%. Now if we think they call with trips, it probably goes up slightly. 32%. And then pre-flop opener 33%, so it goes up few percent. So probably even if we bet 150, it's close to break even. So it's kind of good spot. No one bet the flop, third competition of us, no one bets. Yeah, we might bluff, but 3 people, it's so close. Against 2 people, I would bet here with my air. Because against 2 people, when we bet 150 or 175, we have enough folding equity, but not against 3 opponents. And I didn't consider c-betting the flop against 3 people. And I wasn't even the pre-flop opener. And Yambai is asking, could I check how often they have a hand that can call the flop when you rep aces? I can't rep aces because I didn't 3-bet here. If I would 3-bet, yes, then we can use stack of range. And then we have here, one of these modules have the opportunity that we can include a range that we represent. So we are going to check how often they have a hand that can call against range that we represent, but here we can't represent aces because we just call pre-flop. But as you can see, 1 out of 3 times they have trips or better, or flush or full house. So against 3 people, it's not a good spot to make. big bluffs. I'm going to open my poker tracker in here. Ooh, I'm too scared. I thought that, oh man, we did good today, but this is from last Friday. Happened once again. Actually, I'm going to put today. We made profit. Woo! Yay! And yeah, 1.5 buy-ins profit and -2 buy-ins. So we run pretty hot today. And the graph is here. This is the hand where we sucked out, and then we went down, we went up, we went down. So it's like a ski jump thing. What is the thing that they jump on? But here, $80 profit on the best peak, and then we lost so many little spots here that we end up in 33. But it's better than nothing. No, I wouldn't 3-bet that trash. Double suited maybe, but oh, Rainbow 9, 9, 10, 7, not a good thing. But $33 profit could be worse. At least we run hot, so can't complain about the bad run for the next half a year. This was PokerMania's PLO coaching on Wednesday. On Friday we have the Finnish coaching. Feel free to join, even if you don't understand Finnish. And for the rest of you, we'll see you on Wednesday. Don't forget it. Now it's time to go to do what you were doing. And I'll see you on Friday or Wednesday. Have a good night and bye-bye. I'm going to play the awesome video in the end.